guys, so today I'm going to be doing something that should be really fun. I'm going to do 5 different squishy makeovers. So I have here 5 very cheap squishies that I got online, except for the soft and slow cream puff, but we'll get to that later. I'm going to try to make them better by painting them, cutting them up, doing whatever I feel like needs to be done to improve them. Exhibit A, we have this little cookie. It's actually a really cute shape. It says "Eat me," but I'm not sure that's a good idea considering the filling looks like it's rancid. Also, there's a hole right there, and just in general, the coloring is really sloppy and uneven. Let's quit complaining and give this cookie a makeover. I'll be using fabric paint by either Tulip or Scribbles for all of these. Right off the bat, things are gonna get a little violent because I have to stab the squishy right in the center with a toothpick, and I'm thinking this cookie would look good in chocolate. Step 1, remove the paint boogers from the nozzle. I'm gonna start painting the cookie with some chocolate brown fabric paint and making sure to cover the edges of the cookie as well, and I'm just using a popsicle stick to spread the paint. The toothpick is there because it allows me to paint both sides of the squishy without worrying where to hold it and my hand getting in the way and all that nonsense. And once that's all done, I'm gonna take a piece of packing foam and stick the toothpick into the foam so that the cookie can dry. The paint does take about 3 to 6 hours to dry depending on how thick you've applied it. Once that was dry, you can see that there are still some places that could use some more paint, so I'm going to apply another coat just on the top cookie for now because while the paint is wet, I'm going to add some polymer clay sprinkles that I've made in advance. I am breaking them in half because those sprinkles were just a little too long for that little cookie to handle. You can just sprinkle them on like a normal human being, but I'm just too much of a control freak for that, so I like to put them on one by one so I can choose exactly where they go. And now I'm turning it over and touching up the paint on the bottom cookie as well. Once that's dry, we can finally take care of that terrible green filling. I'm gonna go with white because I think it has nice contrast with the chocolate cookie. Let it dry again, and it's done. Wasn't that fun? I don't know about you, but I quite like the changes that I made to this squishy. I really like the chocolate color of the cookie. The little "eat me" words on there died. You can't read them anymore, but I feel like it really doesn't need it. You shouldn't have to convince me that you're edible, you know what I mean? But anyway, I think that the new version looks a lot more appetizing now, even though it doesn't say "eat me." Moving on to this ice cream, I love the shape of this one and it actually feels like a nice quality foam, but the color selections are gross. The cone comes in a sort of like turd brown and the ice cream is like a mucus yellow. Yum! There's also a lot of paint missing and lots of little holes in this one, which is not cute. Disclaimer, I know that this stuff is to be expected with cheap squishies, so I'm not complaining, I'm just pointing the things out so that we know what we need to improve on. I'm gonna start by mixing together a color for the cone that I think looks a little more food-like and a little less like doo-doo, and of course, apply that to the cone. I used a little jar to hold the squishy upside down while it was drying. You do kind of have to get creative when it comes to setting these things up to dry. You kind of just have to work with whatever you've got laying around in your house. And since I have some leftover paint, I'm gonna put that in an empty little paint container to save it. That way I don't have to mix this color and match the color again, because that's a pain. Once that dries, I did apply a second coat, and once that coat was dry, it's time for the fun part, which is the ice cream. I really went back and forth about what color to choose for the ice cream, but I settled on a light purple because I feel like I have a shortage of purple squishies in my collection, and you know, that's just not right, so I went with purple. As you can see, it dried quite a bit darker than it looked when it was wet. Fabric paint does have a tendency to do that, FYI, so just keep that in mind. And paying special attention to all those little holes because we want to make sure to cover all those up. And now I'm using a candle holder to hold up the ice cream while I sprinklify it. Ugh, I swear, I say the cringiest things sometimes. Anyway, I'm dropping the sprinkles on where I want them, and then I use a pin to kind of push them down and snuggle them into the paint so that they stick really well. And once that's all dry, it's complete. I think the new colors are much more friendly and happier. I feel like the old one was kind of depressing or like sick or something. I don't know. I'm also glad to see that all those little holes are now covered up, so anyone with trypophobia no longer has to worry about this one. Somebody's gonna get triggered by me saying that, just watch. Next, we have this popsicle, which comes with a lot of cheap looking sprinkles that are already falling off. Lovely. I feel like this is like the roasting section of the video where I just throw tons of insults at the squishies. Lots of little defects and uneven coloring, but the worst part is the stick. It's really not much of a stick. It's got big gouges taken out of it. It just looks sad, to be honest. This guy needs a lot of work. Starting with those sprinkles. Some of them brushed right off like almost too easily, and then the rest are like cemented on. So I had to take some tweezers and pull them off one by one. It takes some patience, but it's gonna be worth it in the end, I think. I did pull them off as carefully as I could, but he was left with some battle scars. So I used some scissors to try to smooth out the surface just a little bit. I made sure not to get too carried away because it's really easy to go too far and you make it worse. Now to take care of that stick, I'm just gonna chop it off. It's no longer welcome here. I'm gonna use a real popsicle stick in its place, so I have to cut a slit in the bottom, take some fabric glue, dip the stick into the glue, and then insert the stick. Surgery is a messy thing, so now we have to clean up all the blood and guts that are left over. Finally, we can start painting. So I'm gonna start with painting a white stripe because I decided on a watermelon theme for this popsicle. I don't want to use plain red and green. I want them to be a little bit lighter, so I'm mixing them with white, and I'm painting the bottom while the white is still wet, so I have to be really careful about not smearing the two colors together because we don't want that. And now I'm going in with the red. I'm gonna leave the bite mark alone for now. I'll deal with that once this dries. I had kind of a hard time coming up with how to let this one dry, but I ended up using a binder clip on the stick and then duct taping that down to a piece of paper. It's not pretty, but it works. Now that that's dry, you can see the texture from the foam. It's back. So it's definitely necessary to do a second coat on this one. And here we go again. I'm definitely making sure to neaten things up as I go. The first coat in general is really messy, and then I tend to neaten things up a lot during the second coat, and I'm using black sprinkles to represent the watermelon seeds. Not too many because nobody likes the watermelon with a ton of seeds, so I'm just putting a couple. I really love how this one turned out because it was quite a process to fix this one up, but I think it's a big improvement. I think the new one is just a lot more interesting and unique. That's one of the great things about this, is that you can make whatever you want. It doesn't have to be just a generic design. Next is the coffee. Coffee or latte drink, not really sure what to call this one. The top has a lot of rips and tears and holes. And again, we have this greenish yellow color. The foam itself does feel pretty nice for this one. It's very soft, but I do have a little bit of a problem with the straw. It's already starting to tear off and it kind of looks a little awkward to me, like it's too small and it looks out of place. So I went with a light pink for the cup. It was weird because usually with food items, it's okay to have a little bit of texture in the paint, but for a cup, you probably want it to be smooth, which I'm not used to, so that was kind of tricky, but I did my best. And here's a candle. I'm using a candle to let the squishy dry. And shocker, I did apply a second coat, another coat of pink. You can see my struggle to get it smooth. And now we can start dealing with the top of that, which at this point, it's very ripped and broken from me digging my nails into it. So well done, but luckily it doesn't matter because the paint will fix all those problems anyway. And I am just cutting off that straw because I wasn't a fan and I thought it would look better without it. I'm gonna go with white for the whipped cream, which is very original, I know. Who would have thought to use white for whipped cream? Crazy. The paint works really well to seal up all of those holes and tears and make everything nice again. There we go. And I painted the actual drink in rainbow, which is what I'm starting on now, but this got really messed up because about halfway around I realized that I had way more room than I thought and I wasn't spacing the colors out properly, so I had to scrape off some of the paint and the colors started getting mixed and things started getting messy, but it's okay. Don't panic. I just figured out the spacing and then I smoothed the paint out a bit and left it alone to let it dry. It's not pretty right now, but I can just go over it with the second coat, so I'm not gonna worry. I gave the whipped cream a second coat and then I went right back to work on the rainbow drink. I added some drips, which is much easier when you paint straight from the bottle, but since I mixed my own colors for this, I had to draw the drips on with a toothpick, which takes so much longer, but it's fine. And as you can see, it is getting cleaned up quite a bit and all the ugly is getting covered, so whew, it's okay. And for the top, I just went in with little dots. I guess they're like little candy pieces or circular sprinkles, I don't know, something cute and festive. And the last step was to clean up the bottom edge of the whipped cream. And voila, here's the final squishy. I think it looks so much cuter than before. I'm really happy with the colors, and this was definitely the most time-consuming paint job of the 5 squishies, but it was totally worth it. And the last victim is this cream puff, which has been in my last 2 squishy videos. I decorated this using the new Soft and Slow Deco markers, only to find out that after a little while the color will rub off and smear, and it's not pretty. But I've been complaining about this one for like 2 weeks now, so it's finally time to do something about it. I wanted to kind of do something similar with the colors as the original, so I went with the blue and pink cotton candy theme. Now with this one, I was a little concerned because I've been hearing that Soft and Slow squishies will not hold fabric paint and that it will just peel off, so I was super worried that I was going to spend all this time on the squishy and then it was just going to peel off. I think people were having problems with the Soft and Slow squishies that are very smooth, like the animals. So off camera, I was working on one of the animals and I did have the problem with the paint peeling off. The surface of the foam is so smooth that the paint has nothing to grab onto, so it just comes right off after it dries. Luckily, the cream puff doesn't have that same problem because it actually has quite a lot of texturing on it, so it's fine. I was super disappointed with the animals though because I was really looking forward to decorating those. So I've been experimenting for the past couple days with some different ways to get the paint to stick, and I think I may have had a breakthrough and just figured out a way that works, but I'll keep you guys updated. And back to what this video is actually about, I'm putting some nice cotton candy colored sprinkles into the center, and when I say cotton candy colored, I just mean blue and pink. And then I'm using a toothpick to put some powdered sugar on the top. And now this cotton candy cream puff is completely done. I do like how this came out, but it's probably my least favorite of the group. I feel like I need to say that because it's the truth, but I do like how it came out. I hope you enjoyed watching these squishy makeovers. I feel as though I like these squishies a lot better than they were before, but I don't know, maybe you liked them better originally, maybe you think I completely screwed them up. Let me know in the comments if you liked them before or after. If you want to see me do more of these, please let me know and I will definitely do more because I had a lot of fun doing it. I will see you guys on Monday. Bye!